So far, we are discussing about the 4 different kinds of objects as mentioned by the Buddha in Mahasatipatthana Sutta. And we have already discussed about 3 objects: kaya, body, vedana, feelings or sensations, and the chitta, mind, briefly. And today I'm going to talk about the Dhamma objects, but in brief. Dhamma, general objects. So whenever there are Dhamma objects occurring, the meditators have to observe those Dhamma objects with ardent effort, mindfulness, concentration. So they will see the true natures of those Dhamma objects clearly. And there are many Dhamma objects mentioned in that sutta, but I'm going to talk about the hindrances. Hindrances are also the Dhamma objects. So whenever hindrances occurred, we should note and know those hindrances very clearly. The Pali word nivarana means hindrances. Nivarana. And sometimes in some discourses, the Buddha used the word avarana. Avarana, nivarana, that means hindrances, obstacles. So the Buddha said that when these hindrances are present in our mind, when our mind is overwhelmed by those hindrances, then it prevents the wholesome deeds from arising. It prevents, those hindrances prevent wholesome deeds from arising. The Pali words avarana, nivarana, both have the meaning of preventing the wholesome mind, wholesome dhammas from arising. But again, we can give a different meanings, like avarana. Avarana means initial prevention. And nivarana, we can define it as a complete prevention. So when those nivaranas are present, initially they block the wholesome deeds from arising. They prevent a way to jhana. They prevent a way to Magga, Phala, path and fruition knowledge. And later, those hindrances completely prevent the wholesome deeds from arising. They completely prevent the way to jhana. They completely prevent the way to Magga, Phala, path and fruition knowledges. Therefore, we have to aware of those hindrances whenever they occur in our mind. Because if we are not aware of those hindrances, they will stop us from doing the wholesome deeds, especially the high-grade wholesome deeds like mindfulness meditation, when those hindrances are prevented. They overwhelm our mind, they weaken wisdom or knowledge, so we will not be able to see the objects, the nature of things clearly. We will not see the things, the objects as they are, because those hindrances make the knowledge weak. The Buddha gave an simile how these hindrances can weaken the knowledges, so we will not be able to see the things as they really are, how they prevent the mundane and supramundane knowledges from arising. The simile that the Buddha given is the river, a river flowing down from the high mountain. There is a river flowing down from high mountain. Because it is flowing down from the high mountain, this river is very swift. It has a swift current, very strong, and it can carry everything with it. It can carry everything on its way. It can carry it to the ocean, because the river is very strong and it has a very swift current. And at that time, one man, he opens a channel in the both side of river. So what will happen? Because the man opens a channel in the both side of the river, now the flow of the river is dispersed. It is dissipated. Now it doesn't become, now it is not strong like before, and it cannot carry everything with it. And this river may not reach to the ocean because it is dissipated, dispersed. Same way, if our mind are overwhelmed by the hindrances, our mind will not be strong. Our mind is not strong. The knowledge is weakened, so we cannot reach to the ocean of Nibbana. We cannot reach to the ocean of Nibbana because of the hindrances. And if these hindrances are present, we will not see what is beneficial for us, what is beneficial for others, and what is beneficial for both ourselves and others because of the hindrances. Our mind is overwhelmed by the hindrances. So if in the simile, when the river flowing down from the high mountain, which has a very swift current, very strong, which can carry everything with it to the ocean, if a man, he does not open a channel in the both side of river, then the river will flow with its initial current and it reaches to the ocean. In the same way, if our mind is not overwhelmed by the hindrances, and if the hindrances do not weaken the knowledge, then we can reach to the ocean of Nibbana straight away. And here in this simile, the current of the river is the Vipassana knowledge. Yeah. When the Vipassana knowledge, it occurs stage by stage, we gain the path and fruition knowledge and realize Nibbana. When Vipassana knowledge arises stage by stage, we gain the path and fruition knowledge and we realize Nibbana. So Vipassana knowledge is like a current of that river. And what are the channels? A man opens a channels on the both side of river. So what is that channels? That's the 5 hindrances. The 5 types of hindrances are like a channels, the opened channels. Because of the channels, the water disperses, the current of the river becomes weak. So too, when the 5 types of hindrances occupied in our mind, when our mind is occupied or overwhelmed by those 5 types of hindrances, our mind also disperses. And the knowledge weakens. The Vipassana knowledge may not arise, and so too the path and fruition knowledge will not arise, and we will not be able to reach the ocean of Nibbana. Therefore, in Dhammanupassana, the Buddha instructed that whatever Dhamma occurs, one should know that Dhamma. One should see that Dhamma, one should know that Dhamma. So whenever the Dhamma, like nivaranas, the hindrances occur, then one should know that hindrances as hindrances. And when there is no hindrances, again, one should know that there is no hindrances. That's what the Buddha instructed in Mahasatipatthana Sutta. So, 5 types of hindrances. You all know what are those hindrances, right? You all know the hindrances because in the course of practice, we are having these hindrances from the very beginning, I think until now. And the hindrances are preventing us. Because of hindrances, our mindfulness, concentration, and knowledge is not strong enough yet because of the hindrances, because our mind is always overwhelmed by those hindrances. Yeah. There are 5 types of hindrances. The first one is kamachanda nivarana, that is the sensual desire or the sense objects, the objects of sensual desire. The second one is vyapada nivarana, a hindrance of ill will, hatred, or anger, and depression and sorrow. Third one is Tina Mitta Nivarana, the hindrance of sloth and torpor, laziness, drowsiness. And the fourth one is Uddhacca Kukutsa Nivarana, the hindrance of restlessness and remorse. And the last one, the fifth one, is Vicikitsa Nivarana, that is the hindrance of doubt. So there are 5 types of hindrances that overwhelm our mind and weaken wisdom or knowledge. And the first one, Kamachanda Nivarana. So let's look the word Kamachanda, the Pali word Kamachanda. It is the sensual desire or the objects of senses, objects of sensual desire. Desire for sense objects, that is also kama. The desire for sense objects, and also the sense objects itself is also kama. So kama, the desire for sense objects, and chanda, the another Pali word, chanda. Chanda also means a desire, wanting something. So the Pali word kama chanda, you can see the kama also desire or wanting something. Chanda also means desire or wanting something, wanting the sensual pleasure or sense objects. So desire, both has meaning desire or wanting, means this kama chanda is not an ordinary desire. It is a very strong desire for sensual pleasures, strong desire for something. Or it can say, it can also say attachment or craving or clinging for something, sensual pleasure. And in fact, this kama chanda is lobha, greed. And what is the nature of greed or lobha? In the commentary, it is explained that lobha, greed, has a nature of grasping something. Grasping something means when it takes some objects, it just hold that objects. So grasping or holding the object is the nature of greed, lobha. And also, when there is lobha, greed, the mind sticks to the object. Mind sticks to the object. The simile given is the very hot pan. The pan heated in the fire, and it is dry and very hot. And when we throw a piece of meat into that pan, the meat sticks to the pan, sticks in that pan. And it's not easy to remove. Same way, lobha, when there is lobha arises, it sticks to the object, the sensual objects, very strongly, very firmly. So that is the nature of greed or lobha. And it is this lobha or greed is compared to a kind of glue that used to catch monkeys in olden days. Yeah. In Pali, it is called makkata lepa, a kind of glue that used to catch the monkeys in the olden days. And this type of glue, it is from the tree. We get it from the tree. And in olden days, when the hunters want to catch monkeys, they use this glue. And this glue, this makata lepa, a kind of glue, is very shiny. Very shiny, and they put that glue somewhere in the jungle. And when a monkey saw it, actually monkeys are very curious about new things. They want to check what is that. They want to see what is that whenever they see the new things. So when a monkey saw this type of shiny glue, they are so curious, and with one hand, they try to touch it. I think this glue is very sticky, even stickier than the super glue, I think. So the monkey's hand just stick on that glue. He cannot remove his hand. So to remove that one hand, monkey put another hand on that glue to make the first hand free. But it cannot. The two hands stick on that glue, and the monkey again used its legs, both legs, one by one. Now 2 hands, 2 legs stick on that glue. And at last he used his mouth to remove, but cannot. So all five, 2 hands, 2 legs, and mouth stick on that glue. Now, a hunter just came and catch that monkey and kill and eat. So that type of nature greed Lobha has, very sticky. So Kama Chanda Nivarana, Kama also have a meaning desire for something. Chanda also have a meaning desire for something. So this is not an ordinary desire. It's a strong desire for something. And in the course of practice, when we have that type of hindrance occurring in our mind, we cannot focus on the presently arising objects. We cannot aware of the main object and other secondary objects because our mind is already overwhelmed by this type of hindrance. And this Kama Chanda Nivarana, the hindrance of sensual desire, is also compared to bowl of water mixed with colors. The Buddha gave this simile to one Brahmana named Sangarava. When this Brahmana went to visit the Buddha, he told the Buddha that, "Oh Gautama, I cannot remember the sacred verses that I have learned for so many times. I cannot remember, but sometimes I can remember. Why is it? Why it is like that? Sometimes I cannot even recall the verses that I have learned for so many times." And the Buddha said that because of the hindrances, when our mind is overwhelmed by the hindrances, we cannot see the things clearly. And among that 5 hindrances, this hindrance of sensual desire is like a bowl of water with mixed colors. Water itself is very clean, pure. But when we mix some colors like yellow color, green color, red color, whatever, when we mix with the colors, now it is not so clear. And if we want to look at that water, we cannot see the reflection of our face clearly. So too, when the hindrances are present in our mind, we cannot see the things clearly. The Buddha replied to that Brahmana. That is the hindrance of sensual desire. And the second hindrance is Vyapada Nivarana, the hindrance of ill will, anger, hatred, dissatisfaction, sorrow. So those are the hindrance of Vyapada Nivarana. And Vyapada Nivarana is actually a dosa, dosa, anger. when we meet the undesirable objects, if we are not mindful, the dosa anger arises. So what is the nature of dosa? Dosa has a very cruel nature, very cruel. And this dosa can burns up our mind and body. Means when anger arises, our face, we can see how will be our face, the appearance. Our face is not like before. Anger makes fierce, and maybe our face becomes very red. Our eyes become very red when we are really angry. So it burns up our mind and our body. And because of that anger, sometimes we may have the physical diseases like high blood pressure or stroke. So because of that anger. And this anger, when it arises, it spreads all over. It's just like when we put a poison in the water, the poison spreads all over in the water. In the same way, when anger arises, it spreads all over the body and it burns up our mind and body. So that is the nature of anger, vyapada, ill will. And when the anger arises, we are afflicted with suffering. Before we do something to others because of ill will, first we are afflicted with the suffering. We are affected by it. So this anger also sometimes easily arises when we are doing meditation, even in Satipatthana meditation. Yesterday we talked about the feelings, dukkha vedana, the painful feelings. Sometimes when painful sensations occurred and we cannot note it, and those painful sensations, it lasts for a long time, it does not disappear, then sometimes anger arises there. So this anger, if this anger is present, it means we are not observing the objects. Mindfulness is not there because the hindrance, the vyapada nivarana, takes place. Therefore, whenever there arises this vyapada nivarana, we immediately should note it, observe it with full effort and aiming, so that mindfulness, concentration, and knowledge will arise. And this anger is, the Buddha told this Brahmana that this vyapada nivarana, this ill will or anger, is like a bowl of water heated in the fire, and the water is bubbling. So when the water is bubbled, we cannot see the things clearly. So too the Vyapada Nivarana. When there is Vyapada Nivarana, we cannot see the things clearly. We cannot see the things as they are. It means the knowledge will not arise. And the third hindrance is Thina Middha Nivarana, drowsiness, laziness, sleepiness, feeling of exhaustion, very tired, fatigue, do not want to exert any effort. These are the Thina Middha Nivarana. So when Thina Middha Nivarana, the sloth and torpor, the hindrance of sloth and torpor is there, the mind is not active and alert. Sluggishness is there. The mind does not want to do anything. We cannot send this noting mind towards the objects occurring at that very moment. So that is sloth and torpor. And when sloth and torpor occurs, because the mind is not active, the mind doesn't want to note any objects, we are losing our mindfulness. We are losing the concentration, and we will not be able to develop the insight knowledges. So this Thina Middha, whenever it occurs, we have to note it very carefully. We have to note it very carefully. As soon as it arises, we should be able to catch it. We should be able to observe it until it passes away, until it disappears. And this Thina Middha Nivarana is compared to a bowl of water covered with water plants. When the water is covered with plants, then we cannot see what is inside. We cannot see the things. Same way, when the Thina Middha Nivarana is present in our mind, we cannot see the nature of the objects clearly. And the fourth type of hindrance is Uddhacca Kukutsa Nivarana. That is the restlessness and remorse. Uddhacca is restlessness, Kukutsa is remorse or regret. So restlessness, when Uddhacca is present, our mind is cannot stick to the object. The mind is flying. Uddhacca, the Pali word Uddhacca, it has the meaning that it is shaking above the object. The mind does not stay firm on the object. Shaking above the object means the mind is not on the object. And when this Uddhacca restlessness is there, we cannot see the things clearly. Everything is blurred, not clear. It's like when we throw a stone into the heap of ashes, the ashes will just rises up. And because of that, we cannot see the things clearly. In the same way, when this uddhacca, restlessness, is present, we cannot see the things very clearly. The mind is not quiet. The mind is not still and steady. So everything is blurred. We cannot see things clearly. Everything is blurred. The mind is not still like the water when stir up. Sorry, not the water, what you call a flag. When the wind blows, the flag just flutters. Same way the mind is just flying, trembling. The mind is trembling, not calm, not steady, not still, because of this uddhacca. And remorse also, kukutsa, remorse, regret for some good deeds which we have not done in the past, and regret for the unwholesome deeds that we have done in the past. Remembering those things, sometimes we feel regret, remorse. And when the remorse, kukutsa, is present also, we cannot keep our mind on the object of observation. So this uddhacca, kukutsa, nivarana, the restlessness and regret, when this hindrance is present, again, we cannot keep our mind in the object of observation, and we cannot see the things clearly. So the knowledge will not arise. And another one is, last one is vicikicca nivarana, doubt, the hindrance of doubt. Doubt or confusion, when vicikicca, doubt is there, doubt is present, we cannot decide anything. Doubt on triple gems, the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, especially doubt on the Dhamma, the trainings, the Sila, Samadhi, Panya trainings, morality, concentration, and wisdom trainings. Doubt on this practice, the Satipatthana practice. So when we are doing this practice, if doubt arises on this method, if we have a doubt on this method, we won't be able to note the objects. The mind is confused whether this is a correct path or not, whether I'm in the right track or not, right path or not. We may have a confusion and we won't be able to note the objects. We won't be able to see the things. And because of doubt, sometimes we cannot decide anything. Only confusion is there. And that also a very big hindrance in the practice. Therefore, in the course of practice, when you have some doubt, you have to solve that problem. Having doubt in your mind and you are trying to focus on the objects, you won't be able to focus on the objects. These are the 5 hindrances in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the Buddha mentioned. Whenever those hindrances occurs, then we have to observe it with full effort and aiming, we should know that hindrances are there. And when these hindrances are dispelled, then again we should know that. So in the course of practice, when we are noting the primary object of rising and falling movement in the abdomen, when the noting is there, observation is there, at that time there is no hindrances. Because the noting mind is concurrent with that object of rising and falling. But when hindrances occurs, it means our mind is no more on the primary object of rising and falling movement of the abdomen. Our mind is already overwhelmed by those hindrances. The noting mind can take one object at a time. The mind can take only one object at a time. So at the time of noting this rising and falling movement in the abdomen, there is no these unwholesome hindrances. But when there is unwholesome hindrances, then it means our mind is not in that object, in the main object. So when our mind is not in that object, here the rising and falling movement of the abdomen, then we cannot develop mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. We cannot develop mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. If those hindrances occurs just for a moment, it means we lose the mindfulness on the main object for one moment. But at the beginning of the practice, those hindrances occur many times, not just for a moment. They occur many, many times. It means many times we are missing mindfulness, concentration, and knowledge many times. So we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. We have to be very mindful, and we have to keep our mind very active and alert all the time. Therefore, we should have a determination. We should have a determination. We should make a resolution. I will try my best to be mindful all the time. Yeah. If we have that type of determination, then we will exert effort. We aim the object and we observe the object mindfully and carefully. Otherwise, we lose the objects. We forget to note the objects for many times. Many times these hindrances disturb our mind. Many times these hindrances prevent the noting mind from occurring. Many times those hindrances prevent the mindfulness from arising. And even those hindrances weaken the mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom which had already arisen. So according to this Mahasatipatthana Sutta, we have to be mindful all the time, whatever objects occurs in our body and mind, we have to observe them immediately, applying ardent effort and aiming so that we will not lose mindfulness. We will have a sustained mindfulness. Sustained mindfulness will develop, and so too the concentration and the insight knowledges arise stage by stage. Therefore, in the practice, we should try our best not to we should try our best to prevent these hindrances from occurring. And in case or by chance, if those hindrances occurred, then we have to note them immediately. We have to note them immediately so that we develop strong mindfulness and concentration, then wisdom. So may you all be able to develop strong mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom very soon, very quickly.